This short presentation will give you some information about commas. First of all, it's important to remember that commas are used to assist the reader. Comma indicates a brief pause between parts of the sentence that need to be separated. Commas can also change the meaning of a sentence. Take, for example, these two sentences, let's eat, Grandma, or let's eat, Grandma. In the example on the left, you can see the use of the comma is a good thing because we're calling Grandma to dinner. We're asking her if she wants to eat. In the sentence on the right, it looks like Grandma is about to be served for lunch. So it's important to remember that if you use a comma, it can change the meaning of a sentence. So let's go over some basic comma rules. Use commas to separate items in a series if you have 3 or more items. For example, here I have a sentence that has 4 items in a list. Popular tourist destinations in the United States are Boston, New York, Seattle, and Charleston. You should use a comma after each item in that series. So there's one after Boston, one after New York, one after Seattle. Use a comma to set off an introductory element. Okay, an element can be either a single word or it can be a phrase or a clause. Okay, so always make sure that you can justify that comma by locating the independent or the main part of that sentence. After typing an assignment, it is important to proofread carefully. You can hear the pause there when I read it. Okay, after typing an assignment, this is the introductory element. The main part of the sentence is, it is important to proofread carefully. Use commas with coordinating conjunctions when you join independent clauses. Okay, you can see I've joined 2 sentences here. He interviewed for the position. He was not selected. If I want to join them using a conjunction, I need to use a comma and then that conjunction. The conjunctions that you can use to join 2 sentences in this way are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. It's helpful to remember that acronym fanboys. Use commas to set off parenthetical ideas or interrupting ideas. Okay, they're not essential to the meaning of the sentence. The man with the hat, George, was fired from his last 4 jobs. Here you can see that the name of the man, George, is not essential to the meaning of the sentence. I could say the man with the hat was fired from his last 4 jobs, and the reader would understand what I was saying. But I've chosen to include that supplemental information, George, so I set it off with commas. Okay, you'll see I've got a comma both before and after that interrupting idea. Use commas with dates and addresses. Okay, you can see that I've got a comma after the day of the week, after the number of the day of the month, and after the year. Use commas to separate consecutive coordinate adjectives of equal importance. This sounds like a complicated rule, but it's not really. Coordinate adjectives, it just means that you have 2 or more adjectives that could be put in either order, or could be strung together with the word and. Here's an example. Cloning may have harmful, irreversible effects. I could say cloning may have irreversible, harmful effects, and it still makes sense. So that's my first test. You could put it in any order. You could also use the word and instead of the comma. Cloning may have harmful and irreversible effects. Okay, so it passes my test. So I separate them with a comma. Use commas after a verb that introduces a quotation. So if your signal phrase ends with a verb, you would always use a comma. Mr. Kaplan said, comma, pet cloning is a scam, not a service. Use a comma to separate nouns of address. Okay, a noun of address is if you're addressing someone. Where are you going? Mary. Mary, where are you going? Okay, and if your noun of address happens to come in the middle, then you would surround it with commas. For more information, you can check with the OWL at Purdue. It has a fantastic website about grammar and punctuation, and here is a link to it. I hope you found this video helpful.